This is the very latest. Rusty Harden. Just let that sit there. Rusty Harden, his lawyer, talked with Mary Kay Cabot, Baker Mayfield's buddy from Cleveland, the Cleveland Plain Dealer. And there were a couple of things that stood out. Number one, he says...
Rusty and Harden.
Rusty Harden told Mary Kay Cabot that there's no settlement talks, that those are not in the offing when it comes to this whole situation. And he also acknowledged that this might be a rough week PR-wise for Deshaun Watson because HBO's Real Sports are doing a feature, and they're interviewing several of the accusers of Deshaun Watson, and that's going to air Tuesday night.
Ooh.
So he said, he doesn't have high hopes that they're going to make this look anything other than not pretty for his client, Deshaun Watson. And so from a PR standpoint, and he also, by the way, pointed out that he doesn't see a real connection between the Trevor Bauer, punishment to what has happened with Deshaun Watson or what could happen from the NFL. But this feels like this could be a rough one from a PR standpoint for Deshaun Watson, Rusty Harden, and that whole side of things this week.
For Cleveland, then.
Yeah.
Let's start off by talking about this, though. I do hate when we try to lump together in two completely separate cases, two different leagues, two different situations with Trevor Bauer and all that, and then into Deshaun Watson. I mean, I feel like with Trevor Bauer, there was more that got put out into the media in regards to what maybe took place.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case with Deshaun Watson, at least not as of yet. So I always hate comparing two situations when you don't know all the facts and details. And so I don't know who's going to go out there and try to compare the two or look at the punishment of the two and say, oh, this is how it's going to handle with Watson. The NFL's not going to take that stance. They're not going to suspend him for 2 years. It's just, I'm telling you right now, if that's what you think is going to happen, and you think that the Trevor Bauer situation with MLB is going to play into this, I think you're going to be surprised then or disappointed when you see what a suspension is going to look like when that time comes. That being said, it's still crazy to me that they keep posturing that they're not going to settle.
Yeah.
And with what we do know at this point, and we keep talking about it, there obviously was something wrong done here. Now, maybe he feels like it's to the point that it's not gonna drag on, or it's not gonna be as bad as what's been happening with other players in the past. But there's been enough wrongdoing here that it's gonna relate to some sort of suspension, I would think. I mean, I don't know what again behind the scenes is going on or those conversations, but wouldn't you have to imagine at some point he's going to face a suspension that he's not going to be able to reduce to nothing? It would make sense to settle at this point and move on, unless that number is just astronomical, and that's what Tony Busby is doing. Is he's trying to leverage all this media pressure against Deshaun Watson to see, as we get close to the season, if he's going to crack.
I think he believes that they'll win in the court, and I feel like he's trying. The Busby guy, the lawyer of the accusers, I believe he thinks that they will win in court, and he is bent on going to court. And just mentioning the whole idea of Real Sports, maybe what's more comparable here is not the Bauer situation, but depending on what comes out of this, because for this to be announced and for it to be marketed and advertised, there's the possibility that there is going to be something that one of these ladies say, something that they can provide or show that gives context, even more context to why they feel the way that they feel. And maybe it's not a punch to the head, right? But it's comparable in the sense that even if you're not seeing the live situation take place from a security camera, you're getting a live and in-person look to judge and measure how you feel about these accusers. And if they come across the right way in these interviews, that is going to be damning, because the court of public opinion will get involved, and that pressure will put a lot of pressure on what I would believe on not only the National Football League is going to put it on the Cleveland Browns. And now the question becomes, how do you handle a situation where if this interview proves out to like drive home the point of what these accusers have been saying all along, it's not going to end well for Deshaun Watson. And I got to say, I mean, we've been talking about this quite a bit. Cleveland had better hope that they have the proper securities involved with what they did with this contract, because these are the types of one-off things that could pop up that could actually throw every single thing off going into this season.
I mean, the way the contract was structured isn't he getting like $1 million or something this upcoming year? Which is why
base salary. That was like the old Tom Brady rule when he got his suspension. It obviously reduces how much gets taken away from him.
The idea that anybody thinks he's just going to go with no suspension, like there's going to be no. I mean, he was found innocent. He's going to get popped. And HBO does great work, so they're gonna play this up. Not that some of the information that is going to be passed along is going to be false.
Such good work.
But they do good work.
I told you, like, every time they did one of those 24/7s.
Oh man, you love them.
I would get so into it. I'm like, I don't even know this fighter, but like, my whole life's going to change if he wins. I get so into it.
And when you have multiple, and by the way, one of the details that was put out is that the people at HBO said that they do talk with the women about Deshaun Watson's $230 million contract. And I don't even think it's just from a money standpoint and how that impacts them. I also think it's going to look bad on the Browns in you gave this guy $230 million guaranteed after knowing all this or at least having some of the information on all this.
I mean, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but apparently HBO does better due diligence than a $1 billion franchise in the Cleveland Browns. or a league like the NFL. All right, I'm just
gonna be so bad,
throwing this out there, but apparently HBO can really dig in deep to this stuff more so than the NFL or the Cleveland Browns front office.
Or just maybe the agendas that are being carried out here are being supported by HBO, and therefore the people that are part of this interview are going to be more open, forthcoming with information than what they would be with the National Football League. So
think about the conflict, though, that HBO is in. Like, they have one of the best franchises, if you want to call it that, in HBO Hard Knocks. Like, they have to get access into these organizations in order to be able to put together some amazing content that is like, that time of year comes around. It's almost like Shark Week. Like Shark Week and Hard Knocks, like those are two things you're like, dude, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to dig into this for the next however many weeks to watch Hard Knocks. Everyone, we talk about it, after every episode. It's just, it's got that sort of feel to it. How does that work now? Like, your HBO coming back to the NFL, they're like, we don't like this so much. Like, we like when you're able to get people really dug in on a team and the people behind it and all that and the drama. Not so much when it's like basically making fun of our league for paying a guy the largest guaranteed contract in our sports history with 22 separate, pending lawsuits and allegations out there.
Look, Steve Bisciotti said it at the time. Yeah, we're a little surprised that you would give this contract to a player with all this going on. He said something along those lines. I think, and Albert Breer mentioned this last week, I think the Browns are kind of on an island. I think they've alienated themselves from a lot of teams who are like, what are you doing? First of all, you've upped the price on guaranteed contracts for quarterbacks around the game. Yep. Brady, you estimated what? They probably paid, $100 million more guaranteed than the next best offer? Like, above and beyond.
That would be my guess. I mean, I don't know anyone, given the allegations, who'd be willing to offer him a ton in guaranteed money. Only because you'd think, and from his agent's side, they would say, well, the circumstances that he's under, so you can't use that as a clause to get out of whatever guarantees are in it, right? Because this is the current situation he's in. He hasn't played for a year. You know that, but you're still taking on that risk that he could be suspended for something that happened in the past. So if I was like Deshaun Watson's agent from this side of it, I would say to any team that I was talking to, you can't like retroactively take away anything in guarantees that we're signing to now because you already know the potential of what could come out based on the allegations. So if he does something from this point moving forward, right, some whatever the day that contract was signed, then that would fall under the player conduct policy, which would then void a guarantee. That's how I would approach it. And then on the ownership side, those guys would have to be like, yeah, no, we're not privy to all the facts. There's no way we're going to sign him to a $230 million total guaranteed contract with the pending allegations that are out there and a possible suspension. Like, no, not doing it until you meet the Cleveland Browns. So
it's God, what a mess. But it's going to play out coming up Tuesday night on HBO. That'll be, I'm sure, a lot to get after on Wednesday, because they're going to play this up, and a lot of people are going to be outraged. They're going to take to social media, and all these same questions are going to come back.